For Aboriginal communities who have lost daughters, sisters and mothers, today brought something they've wanted for a very long time. Support from some of Canada's most powerful people to get to the bottom of something that's haunted the country for years. There are about 580 known cases of missing and murdered Aboriginal women in Canada. Approximately 10% of all female homicides are Aboriginal women, and about half of those cases remain unsolved. Tom Perry has more from Niagara-on-the-Lake tonight. Tom.
Peter, Aboriginal leaders have long demanded an inquiry into the many cases of missing or murdered women in their communities. Today, those demands got a big boost. The meeting between Aboriginal leaders and premiers began with a prayer. No one was expecting miracles, and in fact, on most issues, the only agreement was for more talk. On one key point, though, consensus.
The premiers at the table agreed to support the call of the NAO for a national public inquiry on this very, very important issue that really has touched every one of our jurisdictions.
Aboriginal groups have long demanded an investigation into missing and murdered women. They hope today's move will put more pressure on the federal government to act.
We honor and recognize this effort and thank the premiers for acknowledging the link between a sense of safety and security amongst our peoples wherever they reside.
The next step, you make sure that tomorrow we're already on the phone with the federal government.
Jacqueline Anaquad's aunt was killed more than a year ago and says First Nations women need to play a big part in any inquiry.
They need to be involved in the design, the decision-making, the consultation, the implementation of this inquiry. It's really important that we also have a voice in this.
You know, Canadians are
The federal government has been, at best, lukewarm to the idea of an inquiry. The Prime Minister was asked about it this spring.
I, first of all, tend to remain skeptical of commissions of inquiry generally. Not to say they never work or never produce good recommendations, but my experience has been they almost always run way over time, way over budget, and often the recommendations prove to be of limited utility.
Aboriginal leaders hope to change Stephen Harper's mind. And while they do welcome today's move by the premiers, there was some grumbling at today's meeting. That's because the Premier of Alberta and the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador had scheduling conflicts and weren't there. Now, late this afternoon, the offices of both premiers issued statements saying they support the decision taken by their fellow premiers today. Peter?
All right, Tom, thank you. Tom Perry in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario tonight.